The war had burned across the skies of Caltheron, leaving its shattered cities glowing with embers. In the chaos, one prisoner of war, an alien princess whose firebrand speeches had once rallied thousands, was dragged into the dirt by her captors. Princess Rhaenyra of the Caelthi had been defiant to the end. Shackled, bloodied, and branded a traitor to her own people for refusing a political marriage, she had fought the Empire's soldiers tooth and nail. But when their army abandoned her broken body in the wasteland, even she thought her story had ended. That was when the human found her. Elias Grant wasn't a soldier, not anymore. He had once worn a uniform, once fought for the same empire that had cast her aside. But war had soured him, so he wandered the edges of conquered worlds, scavenging scraps and surviving in the shadows. The last thing he expected to find was a half-dead alien princess sprawled on blackened stone, her silver blood pooling beneath her. Her eyes flickered open at his touch, glowing, furious even in pain. "Leave me," she hissed, voice sharp as broken glass. Elias shook his head. "Sorry, princess. Not my style." He lifted her with effort. Her body was heavier than she looked, sinewy muscles and alien bone plates built for survival. Every step back to his ramshackle shelter felt like dragging both of them through hell, but he refused to stop. For days she lingered on the edge of death. He cleaned her wounds, stitched torn flesh, and fed her sips of water when she cursed him weakly. Her Caelthi biology resisted his crude medical kits, but sheer stubbornness kept her alive. And somewhere in those nights of fever and whispered defiance, her contempt shifted into wary curiosity. "You were their soldier," she rasped once, when the firelight cast his face into shadow. "Was," he corrected. "Not anymore. I left when I realized the Empire didn't care who bled, as long as it wasn't them." Something softened in her then, a flicker, small but real. She saw that his hands bore scars of battles he hadn't chosen, much like her own. When she could finally walk again, leaning on his shoulder, Rhaenyra confessed the truth. She had been heir to the Caelthi throne, expected to submit to a union that would enslave her people in peace. Instead, she had rebelled, sparking a resistance that the Empire crushed with brutal efficiency. Now, her people thought her dead. Elias studied her then, the fire crackling between them. So, what now? Hide? Run? Or fight again? Her alien pupils narrowed, catching the flames in their mirrored surface. "I will fight," she said. "But I cannot do it alone." Elias exhaled. He had promised himself never to go back into the fire. But staring at her, the rebellious princess who would rather bleed than bow, he knew he couldn't walk away. "Then you've got me," he said simply. From that night forward, their bond was sealed not by blood or duty, but by survival. Together they slipped between outposts, gathering scraps of weapons and whispers of allies. Rhaenyra's presence lit fires in the hearts of the oppressed wherever they went, her voice as unbreakable as her spirit. Elias stood at her side, blade and shield, the human who had dragged her from death and given her a second chance. The Empire thought her forgotten, abandoned to rot in the wasteland. But they hadn't counted on one stubborn human who refused to leave her behind. And together, the soldier who lost his cause and the princess who refused to kneel would forge a rebellion far more dangerous than any throne or crown. Because when hope rises from the ashes, not even an empire can burn it away.